So we've got the Redmi K30 and the Realme X2 side by side, comparing all of the features. If you're looking at one, you might be looking at the other. So let's compare them. Physically, the K30 and the X2 are actually really different. The K30 is a much bigger, taller, thicker phone overall. The X2 comes with a small notch, and of course the K30 has a cutout. The biggest difference in the screens though is the use of an OLED display in the Realme X2 and an LCD display in the K30. Something that the K30 has up its sleeve though is that 120Hz refresh rate. If you're someone that's really into gaming and about the very smooth experience, that is going to appeal to you. Overall, because of the slightly smaller battery and the OLED display, it is a lighter, thinner device than the Redmi K30. Both phones keep the headphone jack, have a mono speaker at the bottom, quad cameras with a 64 megapixel main sensor, ultra wide, a depth sensor and a macro sensor. And of course, both are using a Snapdragon 730G processor. The 64 megapixel sensor on the Redmi K30 though is a brand new Sony sensor, the IMX686. Whereas on the Realme X2, it's the Samsung GW1 sensor. I've tested the cameras side by side in a different video, which I will link to, and you can go and watch that if you want to see the differences between the cameras. The Realme X2 puts the fingerprint sensor underneath the OLED display, very quick and accurate as you would expect. On the K30, it's on the side. Actually, I kind of like the side-mounted fingerprint sensor more than the under-screen fingerprint sensor. Under-screen is a really cool bit of tech, but actually when you use the phones, it's quicker using a side-mounted fingerprint sensor when you pick it up. But anyway, both are very good and very quick. On the Redmi K30 in asphalt, it actually cuts off the top of the screen and that cutout. The 120Hz display is definitely great for gaming, but because of the 730G chipset, you aren't getting the very best results. That's a compromise you have to make, but considering the Realme X2 has the same chipset, you should get a slightly smoother experience in gaming with the Redmi K30. Both phones can be set to high refresh rates in PUBG, but not the maximum setting. I assume this is because of the processor limitations. So it does beg the question, if you can't use the very highest setting, why have you got the 120Hz display? But in any case, it is there and it will help you a little bit in the games. I'm sure the cutout blocking the names here is going to be fixed in a software update very soon. I think the difference between LCD and OLED when gaming isn't that large. And I guess as a gamer, you would lean towards the high refresh rates over the OLED display. When it comes to daily use of the phones, they're going to behave in exactly the same way. They have the same amount of RAM and the same chipset. Differences in loading times between these big games was very small. Differences here will probably come down to the skin that both of them are using on top of Android, but both phones were within a few seconds of each other when loading these fairly resource heavy games. Testing RAM management between them is probably a better test. Flicking through the list of apps that I've just opened and checking if they're all still in memory. Meituan, the yellow app that you saw, was still in memory. The NBA gameplay app was also still in memory on the phones. QQ Music is still in memory on the phones, and Taobao, the shopping app, is still in memory on the phones. Then moving on to Qiaoying, I will give both the phones a 1080p 5-minute video and see how long it takes to export. Again, as the 730G is in both the phones, they should be within a few seconds of each other. But actually, on this occasion, the Redmi K30 just beat out the Realme X2, as you can see, about 12 seconds in it. The Antutu benchmark between them, of course, should be incredibly similar too. They are using the same chipset. And again, on this occasion, the Redmi K30 just beat out the Realme X2, but the difference here is virtually non-existent. On the Redmi K30, you can hide the notch. There are really easy options to do so, but it does mean having a huge black header bar at the top. I couldn't find any options to do so in the X2, but they might exist. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Both phones can record up to 4K at 30 frames a second, and of course you have the 64 megapixel mode on both of the phones. As I said, the full camera test is already in a different video. The bigger battery on the Redmi K30 is so that it can power the high refresh rate LCD display, which is more power hungry. And I really like this charging animation on the Realme X2. You can see exactly where you are. Overall, really two fantastic phones. If you are an avid gamer, you might lean towards the K30, but the Realme X2 is going to be so suitable for a lot of people too. Subscribe for all the latest tech videos and tech news. Follow my Twitter for some more as well. That's it for now, but I'll see you in the next one.